I need to get a haircut done. And I used to just go to Walmart, go into the little salon on the side and get a haircut done. This, I don't know why this happened to this day. No idea. I go in, I'm sitting down on the bench. Like I said, I know the truth now. I'm not bothering this person no more. I was just trying to make sure they were okay. That's all. I'm sitting on the bench, waiting to get my hair cut. For some reason, this person literally walks over, and there was like this podium or something. There was something sitting there. They're standing there about 10 to 15 feet away, just staring at me. Just staring at me, literally. I got my buds in because I'm still done with this telepathic voices. When I walk into like crowded areas, I hear a lot of different things. And so I took my bud out, I looked at them, I acknowledged that I knew they were there, I put it back in, and I went back to what I was doing. I was just sitting there listening to music, trying to wait to get a haircut. That's all I was doing. Eventually, it was taking too long, and I was afraid my welcome wasn't going to be welcomed, I guess you could say. So I decided I was going to leave and come back another day. And so I went home. I remember I was still fighting with the sensations and the synchronizations and the weird stuff. I started hearing this storyteller. This started back in my roommate's house, but it's so stupid I didn't even want to mention it. But I literally heard my life being narrated. And it said that they were trying to make it sound like they were creating a good story. There was this audio book that would keep playing over, supposedly in my brother's bedroom. I would hear the sound from there, and it would literally narrate every single thing I said, every single thing that I did. And they made it seem like there was this spiritual book that every single word that I spoke went into this book. Are you starting to understand that they want you to feel godly? They want you to rely on yourself and not other things. They're trying to make me feel like a god, how they couldn't hurt me. They're trying to make it seem like I speak things into existence. They're trying to make it seem like I control the book of life, is what they called it. I got so mad about this supposed book of whatever, the spiritual book is what they called it, is I tried to mentally pick it up and smack them with it. I was getting irritated. And when I do, even to this day, when I have like sensations and stuff, and if I like picture things and I like move it, I can feel the energy move. So I can like, bow, and make it feel like I hit something. I'll get more to that later. So, they're trying to make me feel important on this book. Like I said, it started over there. It transferred over to my parents' house, to the point to where I started hearing this audible narration of my story. Every night, it would be playing. And if I wasn't doing anything, if I was just laying there, it would be quiet. If I went to go scratch my head or fart or whatever, it would say it in this audible book. I didn't actually fart, I don't think, but it's just an example. Any type of movement I made, it was like recording. It was supposed to be recording me. I did forget about, before I got kicked out of my roommates, I gotta bounce back there for just a second. My roommate's place was the place where I wrote the letter. I posted some letter to Putin on Facebook, calling myself a light bringer at the time. This is back when I was very confused, because I was led to believe that Putin was going to destroy our world with nuclear warfare, and that we, as a people, were going to get transferred to another world, or like another realm, or another dimension, because of what he did. And if you guys don't know, back then things were escalating with Russia back then too. And people were afraid of what Putin might do. So that happened. And there was also a moment where I had this, they called it inauguration. They were trying to congratulate me on my spiritual ascension, or my spiritual awakening. And I supposedly had to give this speech. I don't remember whether I did it or not, but they said I needed to get it prepared. And eventually, I'm going to speak in my head, and everybody in the entire world will hear me. So, fast forward a little bit back to the house. These are just instances I needed to explain. There was another thing too, that this voice, this thundering voice, talked to me, and it was like congratulating me on my spiritual awakening as well, telling me I'm important for the future, and that I will preach one day, and that I will sing one day. And it said to me that I can have whatever or whoever I wanted. Is what I was told. I told it, I don't want to force I don't want to force anything. So, let's go back forward to when I'm back at my parents' house, when this person is just now being me, looking at me for some reason. Wasn't speaking, they're just staring at me. So I go home and I'm like, maybe I can actually try to speak to him and try to figure out what happened. Maybe I can at least apologize to him so they can understand why I went crazy. So I had my boys, and we decided we were going to go to the park. So we went up to Walmart to go grab like juicies and like snacks and stuff to take to the park. And I was going to invite her to come to the park to try to explain myself, so at least we could get on some type of good. As I'm in the store, walking, talking to the boys, I go to try to go through the aisle, and I literally almost run into her with a cart. To which I looked at her and I said, "Hi, how are you?" They completely ignored me and walked off. To this moment, I told the voices as I was leaving, I was like, I'm done. I know they're okay. I know they're alive. I know they're not interested in me. I'm done. Leave me alone. Because they were trying to make it seem like I said, it was confusing. They were trying to make it seem like they had these feelings for me and all this other stuff. And then they just wouldn't come forward about it. I'm like, I'm done with it, guys. I'm tired of fighting it. I tried to speak to him for the last time. I'm done. So I started door dashing. And I think during that time, I actually started working at Amazon too. So I was like literally working Amazon, and then any free time I had, I was door dashing. I didn't have much of a life. I was trying to build money back up to get myself back up. I went from making decent money to nothing, barely, besides stimulus checks. So I got bills behind. And as I'm doing that, I'm at Amazon, I'm packing, I'm talking to this stuff. I'm still trying to understand it. It's not so bad anymore. They're not attacking me all the time. They can't use the same outlets they had because I know the truth. Mind you, even to today, I still have things coming through trying to portray myself as certain people, and I just ignore it. They try to tell me things they're doing. They try to tell me things that I don't want to hear, and I just ignore it. So, as I'm at work packing, I decide I have a story to tell. I don't know what happened to me, but I need to tell the story. So I go home that night after work, and I start part 1 of my 5-part story of my 5-part story that's on Facebook right now. That's why it's all over the place. That's why it's confusing. I was still fighting with this stuff as I was writing it. I would come home and I would try to work on this stuff. At the same time, still trying to figure out what this stuff is. Still being confused about some of this stuff. And I posted part 1 of my story. I went to work. I got pulled aside. I got talked to about it. How somebody was like threatened to buy my story or something on part 1 because there's a bad part in there where these voices were, telling me to hurt myself, to hurt people, to do all these other things. Because I want you guys to understand how serious spiritual warfare is. I want you guys to understand that these people hurting people in reality, a lot of people get influenced by demons. They may already have the slight thought of doing these things, but they wouldn't actually enact it unless they were pushed. Okay. But for some reason, since I could hear this stuff, I could ignore it. I could fight against it. Now, I never had these desires before. I never had them now. So I knew they wasn't of me. I love people, I'm over there trying to save people. I never had the thoughts to want to hurt anyone. Like normal human, I've gotten angry at people, want to smack them across the face or fight a couple of them for especially drama in the past. But I never actually want to kill or hurt anyone. So I knew this was demonic in nature. Some of it. On the attacks. Now whether it was tests, I don't know. Because you try to say, well, if it's not good, if it's causing confusion, then it's not of God. Abraham says differently. David says differently. Noah says differently. All these different people. Paul, dude was locked up and went all over the place. Says differently. So it's pretty obvious that throughout the Bible that a lot of times when you're tested through by God, it's not easy. A lot of times you lose everything. A lot of times you're asked to do things you wouldn't normally do. So I can't tell you for 100% sure what it was. But I can say that through example in the Bible that it's not simple. It's not supposed to be a walk in the park. It says in the Bible you're going to be thrown into a fiery furnace. Satan's going to throw some people into trial, and you must endure. How would you have to endure or be thrown into a fiery furnace if it was simple? Okay. Now I'm going to continue on with my story. So, I did part 1 of my story. They pulled me in the office. They talked to me about it. There was a cop there, and there was a voice in my head that was trying to tell me. I was like, at this time, I was like, I hear your spirit. I hear your spirit speaking. And it was like, he's trying to tell me you had a cheeseburger and some French fries or something. Because I guess it was like trying to find a way to prove to him that I heard what he had, what he's thinking, I don't know. But I was like, I was gonna tell you, because he already said he went to lunch. I was like, I was gonna tell you had a cheeseburger and some French fries. I think that's what it was. I can't remember exactly what the food was, but that he had that earlier to try to prove to them that what I was saying was true, that I was hearing information. He didn't agree or disagree with me. He looked at me weird when I said that. I talked to him for a while. I told them straight to their faces, I'm not gonna stop telling my story. It needs to be told. And I told them I wasn't dangerous. I wasn't trying to hurt no one. I was just writing I was writing the story that I experienced. I went home. I thought it was over. I think I started on part 2 that night because I was literally doing it like back to back. Because of my memory, I was afraid that I was going to lose this information and I didn't want to not have it. Because something was telling me it was important. And I need to get it out there. So, I go back to work the next day. Mind you, I'm still door dashing. I'm getting off work, I'm door dashing. I'm coming home late at night, like 9, 10 o'clock at night, writing these stories, going to sleep at like midnight, waking back up at like 6 o'clock, going to, and back and forth. It was a loop-de-loop. I didn't have much of a life. Okay. So I go back, I don't know whether it was in the morning, I don't know whether it was when I got there, I don't know when I was about to leave, I can't remember. But I was working and manager came, got me, took me to this other room where these other guys were at. And they talked to me, told me, we're going to give you some paid time off. I was like, all right. I mean, during this, I had to get a mental diagnosis done to make sure I was good. You know, they were just doing their job to make sure I was good myself and I wasn't dangerous around other people. So I don't mind. I mean, so I ended up taking off. I thought I was going to get paid the entire time. I took off work. I had to call this. They set up in the beginning. They set up this person I had to call and talk to. So I called and I talked to them. I went and I got a diagnosis done. I talked to him, and I was trying to get a return form to come back. I didn't know what to do. I kept calling them and I was getting run around in circles. I ended up being out of work for like 3 months trying to figure out what I need to do to come back. I almost gave up and I almost quit because of that. Eventually, I contacted Grand Lake and I told them the situation and that I needed to get some written form to show that I'm okay to come back. So I went to Grand Lake. I got the form. I told them exactly what I experienced right now. I told them that I had. So I started to understand this stuff a little bit more, but I told them kind of a little bit what I was experiencing, but not everything, because not everything came yet. So they wrote this form for me. And like I said, mind you, during this time I'm still door dashing. I'm out of my job. I got paid for about 3 weeks, whatever the cap was. I don't know what it was. And then I went to not getting paid. So I was doing door dashing like all the time to try to counteract the money that I was losing from that job too. Luckily, I wasn't out on my own yet, or else it would have been pretty dangerous financially wise. Probably would have lost more. Thankfully, my parents were there to help me, or I probably would have lost a lot of things. A lot of these symptoms and things that I went through, I'm not saying this is what it is, but it's different cultures, different beliefs. There's a lot of different seers and stuff out there that start having these same type of symptoms that happen to them. And a lot of them end up homeless and without jobs if a mentor doesn't take them on, because it's a lot to handle. But they get looked up to because of it. We get called crazy. That's the difference between the Western and the other parts of the world. We're not as spiritual as we should be. We've fallen off dramatically. And it's time to wake up and realize spiritual is the truth. this war right now should tell you guys that, as well as everything else going on in the world. So I'm out of work. I finally get to come back. I get the permission to come back. So I go back to normal for a little bit. I'm working normal. I'm door dashing on the side. And I had this moment where I had this phone call. Hey, are you so-and-so? I said, yeah, I'm so-and-so. Where are you at right now? I was thinking it was some drama that my ex or somebody started. Because I was also told that these two were going to try to go out of their way to get my kids taken from me out of mental instability. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. They never told me. Were the thoughts they had? Maybe. I don't know. That's what I was told. So I was told that they were going to come to my parents' house to give something to me. And I'm like, what did I do now? I'm over here trying to get back to life. I'm focusing on what happened to me. I'm trying to get my experience out there, and I'm just trying to live. I'm not really bothering anyone. And this female sheriff pulls up, hands me this protection order from her from a long time ago. I was like, okay, whatever. I wasn't bothering him anyway. I didn't care. I already found out the truth. I didn't care. I thought it was stupid that it went so far without giving me a warning or saying something to me, throwing a restraining order on me, making me lose my job, and everything else without ever having the courage to walk up to my face and say something. It was stupid. But whatever. I accepted it. I didn't care. So, I'm door dashing. Every once in a while I get door dashes from Subway over in Walmart. I go in to Walmart, Subway one day, and I see her standing there by the entrance. I looked at her. I had like a smirk or something. I was talking to myself. I wasn't even talking to no one. I said, oh God, it's her. And I quickly veered over into Subway to avoid this person because I had a restraining order on me. I go in there, waiting for my order. I come out. Whether it happened randomly, whether she did on purpose, I don't know. But for some reason, this person made it a point to walk beside me all the way to the entrance of the door. And I hear something. Now, whether it's a spirit reaching out, whether she actually spoke, whether it was a demon projecting a voice, I don't know. The only thing I heard was that he is extremely spiritual now, or he is very spiritual now. To that, I walked out the door and I started heading. I even started moving faster because I was like, what is this? I'm not trying to get in trouble. I'm not trying to get trapped again. I don't trust none of these people. So I speed up. I walk out. I look back behind. As I look back behind, she's staring at me with her head, kind of like head down, and I'm staring at her like, what just happened? And I walk off, and I just drive off, and I go back about my day doing DoorDash. And I'm thinking, I'm like, what was that? So I decided to put myself out there and take a chance. Put this person to the test. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? After everything they've already taken from me, what are they going to do? Knowing I have a restraining order on me, I sent a text message trying to explain the situation, why I was the way I was, the things I went through, the feelings that I developed for her over the time, because I was led to believe the spirit was her, and I was like trying to protect this person over and over and over and over again. And I sent this text message out saying, if you turn me in, that's your choice. I put it in your hands. It was a long message. I don't remember exactly what I said. I just deleted it now. So, a little bit goes by. Actually, before that, when I got the restraining order served to me, I had a court date. I'm not sure if the subway thing happened then or not, but I do remember going up to court. And in the courtroom, I stood up there and I told these people, if you guys could go look at the cameras at Walmart, you would see what I'm talking about. It was back and forth. This person was acting weird. And I was like, I'm not even gonna, I told the judge or whatever, I was like, I'm not even gonna try to fight this because you're not going to believe me if I tell you what happened. I was like, if this is what she wants, I'm fine with it. I don't care. That's fine. After that, I left. The restraining order was in place. Everything was good. And then I think the subway thing happened, and I'm like, what just took place? I get a restraining order put on me, and then they make it a point to walk beside me. So what is going on? So I sent the message. A few days later, a week later, I don't know. My mom calls and tells me cops are looking for me. Mind you, in between this, I was still trying to figure out this spiritual warfare stuff. I started studying. I found David Diga Hernandez, and I started watching his spiritual warfare videos. And somewhere in between, my mom calls me. She calls me and she tells me that somebody's looking for me. The cops are looking for me. So I go outside of my apartment and I wait. Within a few minutes, a couple of cops come by, like three cops come by. And I'm standing outside and they arrest me for breaking the restraining order. So she chose to turn me in. Okay. That's her decision. I don't care. So they arrest me. And I told them, I was like, I did what I had to do. It's that simple. They took me. I ended up going to Claremore jail for a day and a half. I'm not going to go through the details there, but I got a hold of my mom. I got a bail bondsman, and I got out. Went back to life like normal. I started trying to reconnect. I couldn't reconnect with nobody in real life, so I downloaded some dating apps, and I downloaded I was just trying to find people to talk to. I started talking to this this girl. I'm not gonna mention her name. And she lives in Kansas. I decided, I was bored, whatever. Things are starting. I just need to get away for a while. I need a break from all of this. I know everything's fine. I know she's not interested. I know that I'm not in danger. So I need to get away. So I end up driving down there, spend the night with her, talking for a little bit. And I wake up the next day and my stomach hurts really bad. Like, it's to the point to where I'm like on the ground and I'm crying. And so I ask her to take me to the hospital. I go to the hospital and I'm throwing